Morning, everyone. Hope you're doing okay. So lovely to be with you all again. Don't tell anyone, but my top supporting church. Just hope one day in the not too distant future I'll be able to get down and to see you all in person as well. But it's just so lovely to be able to share more of what we're doing at Birmingham Women's and Children's, and to recognise that that work is because of people like you at St Max believing in us, supporting me financially, prayerfully, just in the general contact that so many of you in the church give me so regularly, and I really, really thank you for that. You have got no idea what that means to me and even to the team that I'm able to be a part of. So this morning I'll be sharing more about my work within the theme that I believe you've got over this term of faith at work, so you can see more of what you're supporting and hopefully be excited about what's happening here. I believe that we have all got a faith. I believe that we all have a faith either in God or in a higher being or in a significant other. For me and the team, obviously, and many of our staff actually at BWC, that's a faith in God, in a higher being. And that's the result of that is the work that we are doing. That's where, we feel that the best place for us to be working is at the moment. And I say again, it's because of individuals like you that enable us to continue to do that. So my faith takes me onto numerous wards to support parents and patients, obviously, and staff as well. And it also takes me to some homes, which is a huge privilege. Walking into someone's bed space in the hospital is a massive privilege, to be able to support them in their very difficult journey. But being able to go actually into their home and to be welcomed is one of the biggest privileges of my work. And that takes me to people of all faiths, no faiths, and different faiths. And for me, it really doesn't matter what people believe. I want to be able to be with them, to walk with them through some of the difficult times of their lives. I'm going to start talking about the chapel that we have in the Children's Hospital. It's a Victorian building, so we have got a box standard Victorian chapel, marble walls, pews, which we won't say anything about, but they're there. But the amount of people who find so much solace in that place, and I'll often tell people about it and say, if you've got faith, if you've got no faith, if you've got a different faith, you're welcome just to go and sit. It's a quiet, peaceful space. There's no nurses running around. There's no machines going off, which you often hear in the wards. There's no children crying in pain or anything like that. It's just a quiet place to try and gather your thoughts or even just sit for a little while in silence. And I think, it's been there over 100 years. And I think 100 years of people's prayers, praying in desperation, praying in thanksgiving, it's just made it such a place of peace. And of God. God is in the whole hospital. I'm not denying that, but there's something quite special about this one special place in the hospital that people can go. We have a young lady in at the moment who has quite significant special needs, or additional needs, sorry. And she comes down and she just loves she's so peaceful when she's in there. She loves coming to see the big man, as they call God. And it's so precious to see that space being used by children as well as their parents. And, I see parents displaying their faith daily. Suddenly parents can be deprived of the control they usually have. They're, usually parents are the main caregivers, making decisions. And suddenly they're thrust into a world of machines and medical terminology, medication uncertainty, but their faith remains in the doctors and nurses and other health professionals, sometimes in God as well, but at least in those professionals in the hospital as they effectively hand over the care of their child to these people and have faith that they understand and they know what they're doing. And it never ceases to amaze me to see parents adapt to that, however frustrated things can get, how parents become part of that team, working with the healthcare professionals. There's a young lady I go and see at the moment. She's a teenager and sadly her mental health is not very strong at the moment. She's having quite a lot of suicidal thoughts. And I'd been asked to go and give her some hand massages and use some aromatherapy oils because they were things she had said would help calm her down. So I went in and introduced myself as one of the chaplains, told her briefly what we did. She was happy for me to proceed. And as I sat close to her to give her a hand massage, she looked at my badge and went, "Oh, it says you're a Christian chaplain." I said, "Yes, I am." "Are you here to convert me?" "No, I'm not." "I'm here to walk with you. I'm here to be with you. I'm here to listen to you, however that will help you to be." She says, "All the Christians I've met so far have all tried to convert me. I practice witchcraft." I said, "Oh." Now, 20 years ago, that would have freaked me out to the core. I would probably have tried to run away from the room. But the Ruth of today was genuinely interested in this young lady and genuinely interested in what makes her tick, in what the important things are to her. So I asked her to share more with me about her faith, and I was really surprised, if I'm honest, at how positive the things were she was telling me. She said, it's not what you think it is, we're not harming people or doing anything bad, we don't sacrifice or anything like that. And I was able to share with her some of my faith as she shared with me some of her faith. And we had this genuinely amazing conversation, this young lady who'd really looked into things and really thought about what she believed. And I've been welcomed back since, and I continue to go and see this young lady and to sit with her and to listen to her and to offer her some comfort and some hope in what is a very difficult situation for her. I know that I've mentioned before in our work about the number of different patients that we go and see, and we see them from birth to 16, 17, 18-year-olds, depending how old the patients are at the time. And almost a year ago, I was asked to baptise a young baby. He was fairly newborn at the time and was going for major heart surgery. And I was asked to come and to support this family and to be with them as they tried to get their heads around what this diagnosis would mean for them and their family and their son. And halfway through the baptism, I realised Dad wasn't just filming for keepsakes, but actually I was on Facebook Live doing this, my first baptism, which I never told them, at least first on my own. And the godparents were on the other end of the phone. And when I realised this, they made their promises by giving us some thumbs up to say that actually they would continue to support this family and to support this boy through his treatment. And this family are part of a church, so it's a privilege for me to be able to come in and to offer the same, some support that I know their church is offering them outside as well, and to see their faith, in asking for us to come and pray for their little boy and to baptise him. Just such a privilege. And I know many of you know already that we work in a multi-faith team. So I work with Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, and we are not just a team. There are genuine friendships, there's genuine care and love and concern underneath that. And it is one of the most amazing teams I've ever worked in. We celebrate what's important to each other. So yes, I celebrate the Eids, I celebrate Holi, I celebrate Vaisakhi, not in the same way that my Muslim and Sikh and Hindu friends will celebrate, because I have different beliefs and understandings. But I can celebrate and enjoy knowing that it's something so precious and important to my friends. And in return, Henya, one of our Muslim chaplains, is already saying to me, Ruth, what are we recording this year for Christmas? And she's been in the Christmas video. She's helped us as well to support and to celebrate what's important to us. And it's such a strong message to be able to send out, actually, that we're able to do these things. And we have genuine fun in doing it. But I did ask Rakesh, our Hindu chaplain, just to say something to me about his faith at work. And this is what he said. He said, as a Hindu chaplain within BWC, my visits provide patients and their families a sense of relief knowing that there's a religious person available to them when they need. My job allows me to connect to families in a religious and spiritual way by giving those in need a person to talk to and share any concerns. This service I provide is a set of ears to mindful listening, but also when patients and families ask for it, to give advice, help and support to those who need it, wishing the best on those I visit and praying for their recovery. I like to remind patients and families that there is always hope and that they're not alone in these difficult times. Henya, who I just mentioned, one of our Muslim chaplains, and myself, actually went to visit a Sikh patient not so long ago, a very young mum, and the pair of us were there. She wanted us both to pray. It's always such a humbling experience when someone of a different faith asks you to pray for them. And this mum we've also visited at home since her little one has died. And it, again, such a privilege to be able to work together in a multi-faith way and just to know God is doing his thing. God is there, our faith is there, and God is there and working. So the multi-faith aspect of what we do, I absolutely love, and wish I'd been involved in it much earlier, to be honest. Obviously, the pandemic has not made things easy for us, and in the height of it, in lockdown, many of our staff were really struggling. They were still doing the really traumatic job that they'd always been doing, but with all their coping mechanisms taken away. Dealing with families who were struggling, often in an even harder situation because there was no longer free visiting. You could only have one person at the bedside at any one time and only 2 designated visitors with no siblings. So that gave so much more pressure to families as well. And we're so aware of that. And that that's been really hard for our staff to do. You know, in some cases they were working 12-hour shifts in full PPE. So we as chaplains have tried to do the best we can in supporting both the staff and the families through what's been a really difficult time for everybody in the country, but for us as well in different ways. And we continue with some restrictions within the hospital, so we still continue to try and encourage through that. And then I also now cover some on call, and that can be being called into the emergency department to support a family during whatever trauma has happened to them. It can be being called in to perform an emergency baptism for a little one. It could be coming in to do an end-of-life blessing. You never know what's going to happen. You just kind of have to be ready for it, and you don't know what you're called in for. But you go with faith that you'll be able to bring some peace, some comfort, and some hope to a family who are going through probably the worst time of their life. That's an appropriate hope. It might not be the hope that we expect, but it's an appropriate hope within that situation. Much of what we do is a silent presence, and I've lost count of the amount of families who have thanked me for all I have done. And I sit there thinking, I haven't really done anything. But actually, I've sat there with them, I've journeyed with them, I've listened to them. You know, often as Christians, I think we feel that we have to give answers for things. We feel that we have to defend God if people are getting angry. And it can often make us come out with some quite trite comments that we might feel better about because we feel that we've said something helpful or we've helped in some way. But actually, at best, doesn't help the families. And at worst, actually makes them feel even worse. And I've come to really see the much more powerful thing is just to sit together in that pain, not feeling that you have to give answers, not feeling that we have to talk, but just sit together in that pain, that sorrow, those broken dreams that are often there, and just to accompany in that way. I always remember Kate Bottley once saying, you know, it's why it's called faith. It's not called certainty, it's called faith. And that's really helped me to remember onto that however certain we are about aspects of our faith, there are things that we're never going to understand, at least not this side of heaven. Possibly in heaven we will, but I don't know, maybe it won't be important by then. But to understand that's what faith is, and it's being there and being with families, being with young people, hearing the anger and the sorrow and the lamenting come out, and being okay to hear that and to not have to give that answer or that reasoning or whatever it is, but purely to walk and to be with people in those difficult times. There's so much more, of course, I could share with you about our work. If you want my link letters, then Sarah, not sure of her surname anymore, was Johnson, will be able to pass those on to you. I have just written about the memorial walk that we just did in the latest letter, so she can send that on to you if that's what you would like. Please feel free to contact me in any way, but thank you once again for who you are, for all your love and your support and your encouragement. You really are an amazing church, and I really thank you for everything.